quite
Just
quickly.
refresh if you want to.
Cool. All right, I think we're live on YouTube
hopefully
now.
This is do you need me at all today, Cloudy?
Nah, you can have a little rest today, Chris.
Cool. I'm going to get my trusted Post-it notes and stick it over the top there.
Hey. All right, guys. Welcome to your Songwriting 101 with me. So I thought today, since we've been doing male artists a lot this last week, or few weeks, I should say, I thought we'd go for a female artist today. And so if you're going for a female artist, people of my generation will understand this one. I just had to do an Amy Winehouse track. It's like the law. So I went through to my immediate favorite of her albums, which is the first one, Frank. It's a brilliant album. If you don't know it, I would highly recommend just like setting aside an hour of your time and just listening through to it, because it's got loads on it. There's loads of like live versions and cool stuff, so just check that out. It's good stuff. But the reason I chose it is because it's mostly based on jazz. And Amy Winehouse was predominantly a jazz singer before she kind of came into the pop sphere. And so a lot of her older tracks have this lovely jazzy influence. So the song we're looking at today is You Sent Me Flying. So it's that first track off her first album. It's a really solid opener, and it's got this like kind of dreamy, kind of floaty sort of sound. Which very much keeps in tone with the concept of feeling like you're flying, right? But we're going to look at the harmonic content today. So we're having a look at those chords and what they do and why they do it. So the song's got 3 sections, right? Well, 2 really, but I'm kind of splitting the verse up into two separate things. So the first part of the verse, we get this G minor 7. So you immediately, we're going to have a lot of 7s if it's going to be jazzy sort of stuff. We're having a lot of 7 chords. And so the way you play a 7 chord, you have in your regular triad, you have 1, 3, and 5, right? So if we're doing G minor, that's going to be G, B flat, and D. And now, if you're going to add a 7, you add a third up from that 5. So we're going to add an F into it, like that. But the way she plays G minor 7, I need to figure out if it was her or not. That's homework for me to do for next time, to figure out who actually played the piano on this album. But what they do is, this voicing is really cool. They play it like this. And so immediately that has a lot of depth to it. You have octaves in your left hand of the root note, so you've got 2 Gs. And then you have also 2 of the 7s. So you have 2 Fs, and then you have the 3rd and the 5th in between those. So you get... It's a really nice way to voice it. And then we have A minor 7. So what they do is they just shift the whole thing up a tone. And then we get this really lovely augmented A chord. So far, what we've got is this. And then this is your A. And then you've got this really lovely augmented A chord here. Landing in on that D minor. So you have this really nice sense of movement with some funny harmony in there. The presence of that C sharp makes absolutely no sense in that A major augmented chord, because we're in a minor key and it looks as though we're in sort of either D minor, because we've got B flats all over the place, and we've got this the C natural in your A minor chord, this one. So it sort of wouldn't make... It feels like when we get to that D minor, we've landed home. And that's why I think this one's in D minor, because it's got that real feeling of stability when you get to that chord. And then what she does is she has this nice little pickup phrase, which is just 2 notes. But when you combine it with the chord afterwards, it has this really lovely effect. And the chord after it is this B diminished 7 sort of thing that we've got here. Really nice. Kind of floaty again, and then what we're going to do is we keep our right hand the same, so we have like a D minor and combine that with a B flat in your left. It's going to make you a nice B flat major 7 chord. Bit out of place, but it sounds good when you get to your landing chord, And again, the way we do that is we do our augmented A chord, and we get back to that D minor again. So we have this really nice fluid motion kind of coming like this, in and out. So we have all these things that don't necessarily belong in our key, but they're leading us home. So yes, there's a lot of grace notes in here and a lot of unexpected harmony, but that gives the feeling of fluidity. So that's why they're there. It sounds really good. And that bit repeats. So that's our section 1 of our verse. And then section 2 of our verse, which I suppose you could look at it like a pre-chorus if you like, but it's built on just 3 chords. So you have your E minor 7, and then you have this A augmented again, and then into your D minor. And that can be a D minor 7 as well. So just drop that D to the C, and you get a whole different vibe to it. It's kind of, she switches between that. So it's totally dependent on what's going on in the rest of the song, really, and especially with the live versions, they swap between it a lot, so you kind of just have to follow along with what the other musicians are doing and what you feel like. The thing about that part is that there's this really nice little thing that happens with your left hand where you're introducing the notes by just doing the semitone before. So obviously in the very first bit, you're not going to be able to do that because there isn't anything before. So we got this. So I tried to play that really nice and slow. It's this really nice little pickup effect, and it just makes it groove a little bit more. It gives a little bit more rhythm to it. And yeah, it's a really nice bit, that bit. This whole thing is about flow. It's about fluidity, and that matches with the theme of the song. And yeah, so harmonically wise, so far we haven't had anything massively complex yet. We've had an augmented chord, we've had minor chords, and we've had 7th chords. Oh, and we have had that diminished 7 as well. So there's little sprinkles of interesting, and this is the next part. This is the best bit. So when we're going into the chorus, you have this little pickup line that goes like this, right? And that's just walking up of the C minor scale. So we've got this E flat now, which tells us we'll go into a different key, like that. And then what we do is when we get to the end note, we have, right? That's so nice. What a nice resolution. And all that is we've gone now and we've got this F minor 9. And it's such a lovely chord. Really, really lovely. And the 9 is what gives it that dreamy feel. 9s are fabulous for that. Another artist that uses the major 9 quite a lot, major 9 and the minor 9, whichever 9, is John Mayer. He loves his 9 chords. And we've done one of his tracks in here already. So it's linking. So the next part of this song, so we go down to our E flat, and we have E flat major 9. So that movement is really nice as well because it's the same things, just a whole tone away. So you have 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and really nice kind of uplifting motion there. But because that feels a little bit too wholesome, we don't get that for very long. Next up, then we've got these the diminished chords come back. So we have this nice D diminished now. And then we have our G augmented that comes next. Very weird sounding. But then we need a resolution, so we're going to land in C minor 7. Right? So this whole progression that we've got here, it's resolution from all the verse tension, a whole big bunch of chorus tension, and then resolution again. So it really gives this nice ebb and flow to it, this really nice kind of push and pull effect that feels like you're flying. Because you kind of, when you're flying, especially if you're in a plane or whatever, you're going to get turbulence, and then you'll have clear skies again for a bit. Or there might be some rain and a storm, and then there's clear skies again. So it matches this feeling of kind of up and down, highs and lows. So that's what we're that's what's so cool about this chorus. So if I play that chorus all together, you're going to get this. Right? It's got a really nice vibe to it. We come up, down for a bit, and then back up again. And it just loops itself around for 4 or 5 times, I think. And then we're back again in the verse, and the whole lot just repeats itself. But what I really love about this chorus, especially in the live versions, is they start doing these little embellishments. Instead of this thing, they start using that space to put little embellishments in. And one thing that they do a lot is work around the C blues scale. So you get little licks like... just in there and straight back into the beginning. As long as you know that you're landing back on that F minor 9, the space is open to fill with all these bluesy sounds. And you can go up and down the keyboard. You can use the grip system to help you with that. And that is what's so freeing about it, because there's this big feeling of improvisation to it. And that is just the best, because that's when you can be really creative and free as a musician, when you have spaces to do that. And that's another thing that was so clever about the way that Amy wrote music. She left space for other musicians, and a lot of us don't do that these days. So that's a really important thing, is leave space for the rest of the band. Unless you're a solo artist, then it's just you, in which case, crack on, my friend. All right, guys. So that brings our session for today to a close. Now, we've lost Chris on Instagram, so I'm going to sign off and just leave Instagram. But I'm sure he's watching on YouTube as well, and he can end that stream if he needs to. But yes, so that's it for today. Now, Wednesday, we're going to take a look at some of the little vocal tricks that she does, because, wow, she was just a genius, taken from us too soon. So if you're a youngster and don't know much about Amy or her life, then definitely check it out, because it's a tragic story, but her music was just so beautiful in a lot of different ways. And so we can't really pay tribute to her enough, in my opinion. She was my generation's first real loss of artists that was in my generation, if that makes sense. It's hard to explain, but that's what it was. All right then, guys, so I will see you on Wednesday at lunchtime, 1 o'clock GMT for the pots and pans, and 1:15 for the Songwriting 101, and we will continue with our song analysis of You Sent Me Flying. All right then, guys, have a lovely couple of, and I'll see you soon. Bye.